All right. Now, let's start here. What a flex by Diamond Johnson. 13 of her 22 points in the fourth quarter to help her team get the upset versus Iowa. So freaking clutch. NC State locked in with only one turnover the final 10 minutes and only one missed free throw, 7-8 in the fourth quarter. That's winning hoops. Now, for me, the big takeaways from this game, of course, it was another Caitlin Clark explosion. We seen it all over ESPN. Even in a loss, it's no denying it. Caitlin Clark is special, and I think there's no denying the specialness in Diamond Johnson as well. And I think that should have been a highlight. Sometimes you have to present things as rivalries. You don't just have to highlight one person. And I think for me, my biggest issue with Caitlin Clark getting highlighted in a loss, even though she dropped 45, was at the time leading scorer in the nation. DePaul's own Anissa Morrow dropped 42 points and 15 rebounds against Cleveland State. And we didn't hear anything on ESPN or see one highlight from that game, a slight mention. And they claim to be this, for pro-women. I did the stat video calling out ESPN for not having women's stats, and that ended up coming after that. So I'm trying to challenge them to do the same thing with, the black athletes as well, the black women in basketball. I'm not saying athlete because we understand that the men's basketball is dominated by black, all that. But women's basketball, like I say, is like boxing. And there seems to be a preference towards, if it's a white star. So if you're going to show Caitlin Clark dropping 40 in a loss, that's cool. But show Anissa dropping 40 and 15 in a loss. So outside of that, man, Iowa came out swinging. Hold on, let's go. Let's put some Caitlin Clark on the screen. NC State coach Westmore, Caitlin Clark. I don't know if I've ever seen anything like that. Now she was going crazy. Now Iowa came out swinging, specifically Caitlin. They say she had some new shoe situation and NIL, and maybe it was the shoes. I don't know, but she was definitely in her bag. It was poor defense, though. Like, the game changed when Rivers came in. When Rivers came in, because y'all know what I like to say, if you put an athletic long guard, like Rivers is the perfect prototype I'm talking about, that you're going to slow Caitlin Clark down. I mean, we see right here, if that wasn't Rivers checking her on the screen, she would have attacked him. But it's not that she's not going to get off, but it just makes it a little bit more difficult when Rivers is on her, or, a Griffin, a player like that. I feel like Rivers coming in, like she just changed the whole game. Now, Diamond Johnson, she was a great captain of the ship, all game, doing what's needed, running the sets, scoring when she needed to, keeping the team in the game. Hold on, let me go to the stats real quick because there's something else I wanted to point out. Cesano, man, the last few games, she hasn't really been getting touches, and I know I said I think Caitlin should try to get her. This is the thing. If they're going to keep her in the lineup, in the starting lineup, which they probably are, then Caitlin needs to get her going early. Before Caitlin starts going off, I know that's a little bit more fun to watch and everything, but if she's going to stay in the starting lineup, they have to make it a point to feed her and get her in different situations. Now, Hobby was defending her well. Camille Hobby, 6'3" senior from Jacksonville, Florida. She was playing very good defense, and when they were fighting for position, like it was tough for Cesano, and I think that made it where the guards didn't want to just hit Cesano because, sometimes it was getting stolen or it just was tough defense on her, a big body down there that you could see was giving Cesano problems. So I don't totally just blame Caitlin for that or blame the team. Sometimes you're going to, like I say with the league, you're going to have to bring them out and let them work from a little bit higher when it's that type of friction going on where Leah's usually double teams. But that was a one-on-one situation that just seemed tough. But sometimes you just got to let that ball touch her hands so she can get in rhythm, so she don't get cold, so her confidence don't get messed up, so that it's not a subconscious less effort on the other end. You just want to make sure you're big touching it if you're going to play a post big like Cesano. Now, me, I would bench Cesano at this point because I feel like, no, I know Clark is in that, James Harden, Luka type mode. Steph, they don't need post up bigs. They need either you can, stretch the floor 5 out, or you're athletic and you catch, like Clint Capella type. You can catch oops. You're a good slasher. Can hit you on the pick and roll, the fast break slips, just stuff like that. And I feel like Stokey is better suited for Caitlin Clark's style. It was a possession in the first quarter. I mean, it was a series in the first quarter when Stokey came in and she scored like 3-4 times back to back and could have had one more, but it was just off of transition slashes, transition cuts, and that's more suited towards Caitlin's game because Stokey is athletic, she's fast, and Caitlin plays fast, so she's not having to try to slow down and slow the tempo of the offense. Whereas with a Cesano, she has to throw it in, let Cesano do what she do, and it's just slowing things down. Yeah, so it was like 3:16 when Stokey, I think, scored the first basket. Then she had another possession where she could have got hit around 2:54. She was slashing. At 2:26, she had a I thought she should have sprinted a little bit more, but she ended up still getting hit and getting the easy bucket. And then it was a great fast break possession with 2 minutes left. So I just feel like if Iowa is really going to maximize Cesano's senior year, the same situation with Westbrook, it's not that at this point Stokey, it's not that I think Stokey is better for what this team needs, but it's not that she's all the way just like blowing you out the water as far as the skill set. But the best thing for the team, same with Westbrook, is for you to come off the bench because we can maximize what you do and slow the game down at different points and highlight that post in a different way. And then when Stokey starting with Caitlin Clark, you getting that up-tempo, fast basketball that Caitlin really wants to play. And I just don't think you need both of them in together starting out the game. You bring Cesano in. You can have them together at certain points, but I just feel starting, just have Stokey in and see how that works. And when she was 3 or 4, 7 points, I don't like the 8 minutes, man. Like, if you seeing a player this effective, this is what I feel like. It's just bad coaching. Blunder got to do a better job. Like, she's being this effective in the game. How do you only get 8 minutes? And Cesano got 35. What was she doing? Like, y'all wasn't getting her the ball. It's the same thing with the Warriors. Like, why draft Wiseman and you're not going to hit him? If you're going to start Cesano, then make sure she gets going early. Like, just don't do dumb stuff. Like, Warnock, she stood out at different points, 2 or 5 from 3, 7 rebounds. She was solid. It was her, Stokey, and Caitlin. Third quarter, I think Caitlin only had like 2 points. What else was big? And that fourth, man, Caitlyn just had a series where she just lost her mind. Like, that's when you got the half court. I mean, the logo three. She pulled one from like the left side. And it was like three straight possessions where she was going. But the thing was, NC State was playing team basketball the whole game, and they got a dog on that other side too. So when Caitlyn started barking, you had Diamond Johnson, who built like that too. She had 22, 8 of 12, 2 or 3 from 3, 9 rebounds at 5'7". Man, she's special. She's different too. Like, y'all know, I feel like the big guard is the small dynamic point guard, the 5'7". As I pointed out in another video, those are at the highest level who you see having success in a championship. So let's start to put more respect on guards like Diamond Johnson. I definitely feel like at the next level she'll have some success. And Rivers, man, y'all know I love that long, athletic, twitchy build. And on NC State side, she needs to be starting, especially in matchups like this. We seen Sellers starting against Notre Dame. We need Rivers, and that was a good looking need. We need more of that. We need Rivers starting in a matchup like this, man. She got so much skill and potential and just the genetic makeup. It's no reason she shouldn't have been starting to not have Caitlyn come out so hot. She did a very good job. Caitlyn very rarely scored on Rivers. One play she went to sleep. That logo three, I don't really, because if she really started to guard that, that wouldn't happen. Another thing I seen, like, majority of everything Caitlyn wants to do, I'm not saying she can't score going left, but if she loves going right. So I mean, that's something that you could start forcing her that other way. But I mean, she did a good job. I mean, for somebody like Rivers, it really don't even matter if she going right, because Rivers can cut her off. Took the ball from her. It just was very good defense. I know she dropped 45, but a lot of that early was against who was guarding her early? Brown Turner. Like, she was playing trash defense, and Boyd tried to get on her a few plays. You can't just be long. You got to have that twitchy left to right lateral movement to be able to cut her off. And you got to have instinct. It was somewhere where Brown Turner had, like, it was a pick, and she jumped through the pick and jumped past Caitlyn, and Caitlyn pulled right up. That was just horrible defense. So at the high level, you don't want to have lower level defenders or defenders that can't defend at the highest level on Caitlin Clark. You want to just make sure you have your best pieces in the game, so you don't even have to deal with her getting hot like that. Maybe she would have, if you started Rivers out on her, maybe she only has like a 25, 27 point night. So that's something that I would be looking towards the future, having her and Diamond Johnson playing next to each other. And we seen better coaching because, they let her get off 29 minutes. Whereas when Stokey coming off the bench, she only could get 8 minutes, and she was having success. So it's just bad coaching on the Iowa side. And Caitlyn's talking about coming back, but you're not going to maximize, and we're not going to be able to see you at the highest level with coaching like that. It's not all about, oh, she doesn't have help and this and that. Everybody has to be put in the right position to have the right amount of team play. I think in the fourth quarter, yeah, go crazy. Go crazy, Caitlyn. But early on, you got to try to get those other pieces going so that they stay engaged in the game and they're giving full effort on the other end. You can't be asking them to play defense and you taking all the shots. Caitlin Clark is a baller. The Iowa women's basketball superstar scored 45 points on 16 to 28 field goals, 66% field goal percentage despite the loss to NC State. Clark currently leads the country in scoring. Oh, she done jumped up to the high. So Anissa dropped down. Now, look, it's a big deal when she doing it. That's my point. When Anissa, man, it's crazy. It's crazy. But, Yeah, just bias. It's by racial bias. NC State coach, yeah, I don't think I've seen nothing like that. Caitlin Clark is so fun to watch. Now, this was crazy. This was one of the 3 plays she had going left, but majority everything else was going right, and she was talking too, pulling from the half court. Now, this was crazy. But in the game where they really felt threatened, she wasn't hitting that logo because Rivers would have been right up on her. Our guard, Caitlin Clark, scored 45 points, the most this season by a Division I women's player. But the number 10 Hawkeyes lost 94-81. Now, did they do any article when the 42 got scored, though? That's my thing. On the night when she had her 5th 40-point scoring game for Iowa guard, Caitlin Clark lamented her number 10 deficiencies and a 94-81 loss to number 12 NC State on Thursday at Carver Hawkeye Arena. Clark said, I think whenever I score 40 points, we lose, Clark said, so it's not something I want to do. No, you was definitely gunning. Yeah, and that's the other thing. All of these big numbers mean nothing with her because they're like 2-20 when she scored 40 or something like that. Or like when she scored 40 or 30 or some stat I heard, they're like 2-20 when she having these big numbers. So that means the rest of the team isn't engaged. So that's really something that doesn't need to happen. At some point, coach got to be like, hey, we got to find a way to get other people in rhythm. And for me, that would have been having Stokey in the game because I felt like that's somebody that Caitlin can work off of. With her and Cezanne, I just, it's points against lower teams, but at the highest level, I think you need to have Stokey as a running mate. Actually, Iowa's record in those games is 2-3, so that must be for the 40 games. But it was, I think, when she scored 30, they like 2-20 or something crazy. With the 2 victories coming last season, Thursday, Clark finished with 45, the most scored points this season by a Division I women's player. It was 1 point short of her career high and 3 short of Iowa's women's school record of 48 by Megan Gustafsson. Clark was 16-28 from the field, making 5 3-pointers and had 6 rebounds and 4 assists, but it wasn't enough. Only 10 team assists tonight, and that's not Iowa basketball, Clark said. We could have run our offense better. We could have gotten Cezanne the ball better. Then we scored, but we couldn't get stops. Yeah, so it was like 4th. They was getting these big momentum, crowd going crazy, scores by Clark, but NC State was coming, and most of it was Diamond Johnson. She was just coming right back at her, shutting it down. So it was one of the better duels that we got to see this season. We didn't play defense. I think it's pretty simple. We could have scored more than 90 points, and we still would have lost the game. It comes down to defense, and we know that. And I also think, I know that fast up tempo is, if you're going to go there, you got to go all the way there with the lineup. But you might want to slow it down in spots and not slow it down to have a stagnant offense like in the third, but slow it down and learn how to be effective. And that's where I feel Cezanne coming off the bench could help. The Wolfpack's victory gave the ACC Big Ten Challenge to the ACC, which won 8 of the 14 matchups Wednesday and Thursday. It was the 15th and final year of the challenge, which the ACC won 11 times. The Big Ten won once. The leagues tied 3 times. Next season, the ACC enters a challenge series in men's and women's basketball with the SEC. Dang. NC State moved to 7-1, with its only loss coming to then number 5 and current number 3 UConn, 91-69 in Hartford, Connecticut on November 20th. The Wolfpack fell in double-digit overtime to UConn in the NCAA Elite Eight last season and lost 4 starters off that team. But returning guard Diamond Johnson is now leading the team in scoring. She and transfer Sanaya Rivers, who spent her freshman season last year with national champion South Carolina, each had 22 points Thursday. Rivers was asked what more could they have done to slow Clark down. She shouldn't have said nothing. She should have said, when I was on her, for the most part, she didn't score. She had a tough time. I was getting turnovers. I was getting stops. A few times here and there where she went down in the paint and it was a switch happened, she might have scored, or hitting a lucky logo three or something like that. That's not something I'm worried about. But when I was really checking her, she had a tough time, and that's all you can hope for as a high level defender. That's what I would have said. She said nothing. I felt like I contested her shots really well, Rivers said. Great defense, but it's just better offense. All you can do is respect it and get back. I definitely didn't let it get to my head. She hit one, I hit one. It was just a fun matchup. But 45, that's insane. I'm glad that we came together as a team. We had 5 in double figures, so you can't win alone. I'm just glad we were the better team tonight, and that's a great answer. NC coach Wes Moore said he saw a lot of Clark during his time as a committee member for various USA basketball teams she participated on. I admire her a lot. I think she's really turned into an all-around player, Moore said. She'll lead the world in assists also. She doesn't mind giving it up. She's got great vision. She can score off the bounce and score at mid-range, score from deep, and really deep. I don't know how you can stop her. Maybe play a triangle and put 2 on her. Still, the Wolfpack had their highest point total in a true road game since 2011 and came away with the victory. She definitely stoppable, especially when you got a player like Rivers. It's man, y'all gonna make me do a breakdown. Like it's not. I ain't saying it's easy, but if you got the personnel to do it, like they have, you could definitely keep her at 25, 27. The Hawkeyes, who are the number 14 in the Associated Press preseason poll, are now 5-3 after losses to Kansas State, UConn, and NC State. Clark, who led Division I women in both scoring and assists average last season, is now averaging 29 points per game, but she knows the Hawkeyes have to be better. We played good defense for one quarter, but you have to do it for all 4, Clark said. I thought the defense was pretty good against UConn Sunday, but then we come here on our home floor and it wasn't good at all. Yeah, so I just want to finish it like this, man. Hold on, let's go get Diamond Johnson her credit, because she ain't. Let's just show a few Diamond Johnson highlights. Very good game. Probably her best game all season. I mean, just all around what you want from a all-star level point guard. Look at that. It was one shot I'm thinking about where she missed the shot. Hold on. And this guy from Philly, he said, love how NC State's Diamond Johnson, Philly native, can control the tempo of the game. Her stop and start ability, operating in the paint, always in control, and creating opportunities for her teammates. She's picking her spots this season. 13 fourth quarter points last night versus Iowa. Look at that. I mean, just making the right passes. And she just was the better player tonight. Clark dropped 45, but she was the better player. So, and it's not always about points. To all the young people out there, it's not always. Oh, I seen this too. She said, cool, now give me the same tweet with the similar quote, the same energy for Natasha Cloud tweeting about Diamond Johnson. Especially since the W stands for women and men, do not define or validate women's sports in this here year 2022. Men do not. Okay, no, listen, Sabria. They weren't being disrespectful with the KD shouting out Diamond Miller. He just has a bigger fan base, and they're trying to attract the casual. Now, they probably should have highlighted Cloud, too, because they're ESPNW. But showing KD is just showing the casual fan, like, hey, casual, you don't watch women's basketball. You like KD. Maybe because KD watches it, you should maybe check it out or check some highlights out. So that's all that's about. Let's see. Folks need to and better start including Diamond Johnson when talking about the best guards in women's college basketball. She is a problem, on pace for a second career 50, 40, 90 shooting season. And then it's her right here saying she lives for these moments. Reno is rocking. Look at that. Number 3. Getting her AI on. But, yeah, I just wanted to make sure she got her respect, too. 22, 2, 9 of 11 for Sanaya Rivers. 22 and 9, 8 of 12 for Diamond Johnson. Jakia Brown-Turner, 17 and 3, 6 of 13 from the field. Diamond Johnson should have started last year, too. Glad we get to see her and Sanaya Rivers. Yeah, Sanaya need to be starting. Okay, here go Cloud tweeting Diamond Johnson. Shout out to Cloud. Let's tweet that. Let me see. And she talking too after the game. Diamond Johnson is so cold. Diamond Johnson is Sanaya Rivers. Yeah, but shout out to NC State, man. Y'all did your thing. For Iowa, get Stokey in that start lineup. And hold on, yeah, I gotta make sure I do this too. I gotta do this. Hold on. Nisa 42. Let's see. Okay, I just had to show this one more time. Real quick. It's the best player in the country right here. She dropped 42 in a loss and one put on ESPN, but she should have been. And we need to talk about her a little bit more. So shout out to Anissa Morrow. If you ain't following her, make sure you go follow her. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. I don't know what it is. Nostalgia Hoops, Nostalgia Sports and Culture. That thumbs up. I'm out.